Hello and welcome to Open. I'm Rhina, your hosty Café con Leche for the next hour, coming to you from BronxNet Studios, inviting you to get social with us online. That is, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV or like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So, kicking off today's celebration of Latinx Heritage Month, we cover HBO Max's special coverage of Habla Loud, the latest installment of the award-winning series Habla Series. The 1 hour special features notable Latinx actors, musicians, and influencers. And, well, they're going to help us understand the profound complexity of the Latino experience in the U.S. The Habla Loud series, Habla Loud premieres today, actually, October 7th on HBO Max. And, well, here to share more is creator and director of Habla Loud, Alberto Ferreras. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Rina. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you. Super happy.
Yeah, well, congratulations on another edition of the Habla series.
I know we're still going after all these years. We started back in 2003. Who knew that we would stick around so long? We might be, I think we actually are, one of the longest running documentary series on HBO. Surprise.
That's something to celebrate, and it's something certainly to for us to acknowledge. Now, can we really quickly go through the different Habla names, because they all have different names, and I know people can actually watch them now because they're on HBO streaming services.
Yeah. Well, Habla, we started back in 2003, and Habla was originally a just an image campaign. The thing is that, I don't need to probably explain this to you or anyone in our audience, but there was not a lot of Latino voices on the media, especially back then, because this is before social media and all these things. And and we at the time I was working for HBO full time in creative services, and we had a network, a channel called HBO Latino, and we had a lot of shows in Spanish, but that didn't mean that we had a U.S. Hispanic presence on the network.
Right.
And I thought that that was very important because that was our audience. And for me, especially speaking Spanish, people were afraid of speaking Spanglish. We were not having conversations about bilingualism and biculturalism and feelings of identity and how different it was to be a Latino, like a Chicano from like Acubiche, as we call it. Maybe that's a little derogative. Pero the experience of the Cuban from Miami and the Chicano from Los Angeles, New Mexico, Arizona was completely different.
Different, right.
And I thought that those were conversations that we needed to have. And
And
that's how Habla began. Uh, we have done Habla with celebrities and with regular people throughout the years. And we have Habla Men, Habla Women, Habla Texas, we've done Habla Más was in Chicago, Habla Ya was in New York. So every show has a combination of as many voices as we can fit, talking about the issues that Latinos in the U.S. face, which are very different from the issues that Latinos in Latin America may have to deal with, and precisely that's what was absent in U.S. Media,
right.
our voices.
Well, we're working on shifting that, right? Because it's still somewhat absent, so congratulations to you on having longevity with this project, right? And so this particular rendition, is there anything in particular that you were really trying to get across in your messaging?
Well, there was a couple of things. I think the main goal, my approach was asking everyone, our 14 guests, for a turning point in their lives.
A
That
turning
that was
point?
it. Please think about a moment that really turned your life around. And for people like Residente, it was listening to Ruben Blades for the first time. For people like Bianca Marroquin was, you know, getting at like a 2 week stunt playing Roxy on Broadway, and then turning that into 21 years on Broadway, leading one of the longest running Broadway musicals. and people not knowing that she was Mexican all along.
Right.
For every single person, for Carmen Yulín Cruz, for Yulín Cruz Soto, as we call her, it was Huracán Maria. So everybody talks about one particular moment in their life that totally turned things around, where they understood something that the goal of Habla is to invite people. They can be famous or not, but that they can share something that can be of value for the rest of us as a community.
I mean,
That's
two people I didn't mention were Olga Meredith and also Mickey Melendez. And so I saw that it's also intergenerational and from different perspectives, right? We've got political, we've got arts, we've got Broadway. And I'm talking about this particular series of Habla.
exactly what Mickey Melendez. For those of you who don't know, shame on you.
Right, right,
Mickey
right,
is one
right.
of
I
the
mean, he's
co-founders of the Young Lords
Lords,
Party
the
in
New
New York
York
City,
chapter. Yep.
and it's an inspiration because what the things that a lot of young people don't know this, and a lot of old people don't know this, and period, a lot of people don't know much about the Young Lords or anything about how the actions of this youth um, group in the 60s and 70s actually had a national impact in the United States, on how schools serve breakfasts, and the Patient Bill of Rights. I mean, these are things that we need to know about because we have to be proud about, and we have to learn from them, so we make sure that we continue with this legacy, not just what they did, but to advance our community in the way that they did it.
Absolutely, and it's amazing, right? Because we're getting it from the horse's mouth. It's not like you have to go and read it in a book. It's there. It's being told from the actual person who created this chapter. Well, right?
And you know something that Habla has that it was that was my favorite thing, and that was the reason why I felt so strongly about this project. That people are talking to you, they're looking at the camera. So you really, when you're done watching an Habla episode, you feel like you had 14 great conversations with people who have something in common with you. And they we try to have conversations that are eye opening,
Right.
that make you think, that make you realize maybe that you've never talked about this, but it was an issue for you. Um, we want people to share solutions. Um,
And so,
we want people to really transform society.
right. And so, what would you say is the common thread that seeps through all everybody's stories?
I think they all offer this insightful moment when they realized that their life was going to change, when they realized something about themselves that other people can relate to, learn from, and again, if this is, let's put it this way, if that was not your problem, at least now you understand that people like you may have that problem, and your reaction to it will be different next time you bump into someone who speaks with an accent, who doesn't speak English, who doesn't speak Spanish, and yet calls himself a Latino.
And so,
That's
right. And so blending all these different cultural backgrounds, right, especially being scattered throughout the United States and abroad, what was the common, like, Latinidad story that was relatable to each and every one of them, even though, let's say, one is Mexican, the other one's Puerto Rican, they're all coming from different backgrounds.
well, I think in this particular episode, it has a lot to do with exceeding expectations. With people who had who, in some way, they didn't think that they were going to reach the heights they did. And when I say heights, again, I'm not talking about, like, being on a stage and being a singer, or famous necessarily. Someone like Richie Torres, who simply embraced politics because somebody had to, because the projects where he was growing up were falling apart, and he was upset at how the government was spending money across the street in a golf course, but they would not fix their own building. So some of the stories are meant to be inspiring.
Yeah.
That's what they're meant to be.
I know. And you know what? I love that about your work. It's so intentional. And I know that it premieres today. And as I mentioned before, you can watch all of the Habla series. However, this particular one we've been discussing, Habla Loud, is going to be on HBO Max beginning October 7th. And before we go, um, what do you have to say about this campaign that HBO has called Nuestra Voces, which is what this is also going to be a part of?
The I might not be
The
familiar
Nuestra
with
Voces,
the campaign.
well,
I'm
the
familiar with
Nuestra,
Palante because I know that Habla is part, and we're very grateful to be included in this platform of Latino programming called Palante, which, funny enough, is inspired also by the name of the newspaper that the Young Lords created back in the 70s, which was called Palante. So I'm not so familiar with Nuestra Voces, pero I'm absolutely a big fan of Palante on HBO Max.
yeah, well, it's a section that you can go to on HBO. I'm an HBO fan, so that's why. And I think it's pretty cool because everything is there. Stories from like years ago. It's like they're all in one area. So I was just curious to know because I believe Habla Loud is also going to be part of that section, yeah, on HBO. Anyway, that was a really great plug for HBO.
Well, thank you for letting us know how to find it. I just tell people just like search HABLA. It's funny because the thing with streaming is that sometimes it feels like you're unpacking a trunk, and you're like, oh, that's great. That sounds like a great show if I can find it. Uh, but hopefully, if you don't find it by just like searching it, absolutely go to Nuestras Voces o Palante. But we're definitely at the HBO Max platform, streaming platform.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here with us, everyone. Creator and director of Habla Loud, Alberto Ferreras. Once again, be sure to check it out. The latest Habla Loud installment on the HBO award winning Habla series, which debuts today, as I mentioned, October 7th on HBO Max. Yeah, you're going to have a great time.